I've always preferred rage over shame. It's amazing I didn't chip some teeth, grinding so hard against myself. Anger and righteous indignation and all these bloated stories I told myself so that I could avoid the ugly bits. So common. I denied my own feelings of isolation and otherness and loneliness. I tried so hard to squirm away from all those feelings of inadequacy in every way possible. Humans were so silly. Look at us. We can't afford to be humiliated one more time. We can't afford to be told we're wrong, or that we're doing it wrong again. That familiar finger pointing at us. We want to attack the person connected to that finger. We want to lash out at them, even though their story and their pointing has nothing to do with us. Absolutely nothing to do with us. That's their coping mechanism. That's their story. That's their certitude. These are the excuses they've developed over time, just like we did, to cover their ugly bits. They're telling these stories they've grown comfortable with because they don't want people to see the other part. They don't believe they'll be loved. That's their story, not yours. So it has occurred to me through the teachings of Pema Chödrön and my friend Margie, who's taught me a lot, that it would be more kind to offer them compassion, not shun them, cast them out, say, I don't want to speak to you again. That's kind of silly. The only person that I think I've distanced myself from this way was a person who was hurting others through addiction. And you can't argue with an addict. They have to come to these terms by themselves. Nothing you can do. It really is a useless activity to try to change them. And I don't limit alcohol and drugs in terms of addiction. Addiction can be anything. We leave our bodies all the time. They begin with decent enough intentions, you know. We want to protect ourselves or play along like we're okay, but we're not. Don't ask me how I know this. What do I have to be angry about? I sit here in the middle of a moon-drenched night, surrounded by thank you cards. And even though I have micrographia, which means I can't write very well, these excruciating writings of filling out each note card are actually such a pleasure for me. I feel such gratitude for everyone. I'm surrounded by flowers and support. Through my DBS surgeries, my head's literally wounded right now. The irony of a writer who can't write. I can only dictate now. But in case it's not been made unmistakably clear through my writings, I don't sit above anybody else. I have no special skills or talents or position. Nobody wants to be the poster child for Parkinson's either. But if you're expecting some kind of Christ-like forgiveness or equanimity, I'll probably disappoint you. I can be ruthless in my clarity and my honesty. My timing can be terrible. I forget to ask for permission. Nobody wants a punk like me reflecting all the time. Sometimes people need a little space. People don't need to be told what they are. From someone who's giving a blue robe talk, Deep Thoughts by HK, I can lack nuance and subtlety. Imagine that. I'm like the opposite of a Brit, so close to the vest and so careful about what is said. My beautiful Brit friends, thank you for teaching me. As the song goes, as well, I could be right, I could be wrong. We can rise to the occasion of meeting our highest selves only together. This is spiritual work that we cannot do alone. Reflection is the requirement, the reflection in the mirror of another, at least one or two others who kind of get us. We think we can hide our ugly bits, so we choose peers who are not our equals sometimes. And this never works. You gotta sit in it. Be honest with yourself. You can't be insecure. That much I do know. Bravery. The tough stuff of moving the inner mountain, the outer mountain. Humans, we are built to connect, not isolate. Otherwise, there's a madness in isolation. We start to believe our own mythology and our own stories. It's more than just being held accountable by others. These are very good friends, by the way, who hold us accountable. They hold me to a standard that's above my pay grade and my class. They do this with grace and thoughtfulness and kindness most of the time. And when they don't, I probably deserved it. I probably wasn't paying attention. Taking this radical responsibility for myself and my actions is also a requirement. To mess things up, to fuck up, excuse my French, is so important. And that works in symphony and in conjunction with trying new things. We've got to do it. And if we really mess up, we can apologize to others. What an opportunity to be sincerest in our apologies, to say, I hurt you. I am so sorry. Will you forgive me? It's a lot to ask someone to forgive. It's part of the reason I pop in here with my deep thoughts in my blue robe in the middle of the night. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. There are only a few times in life where people have been malicious intentionally. People get pleasure and satisfaction of hurting others. These personality types are so deeply troubled and damaged, I don't have the kind of patience. I just don't possess it. But I can focus on staying present and noticing how everyone around me means well. Most human beings intend to be kind and good and helpful. Swinging words around like pathologies like narcissist and sociopath and personified evil is just so ridiculous. We're all of those things. All of us in different scenarios together. We all mess up. Isn't this where comedy comes from? Making fun of these things, these ultimate truths, barely clothed in jest. Like the part about how we're not wounded, everybody else is. No, we're all wounded. And if we forget this, we start to deny and attack people who are wounded. That's not living, that's not what we're here for. What brings you here? I left most social media because it's healthier to focus on other things rather than comparisons. And I hold no particular skills or talents or anything special. Parkinson's does not make me special. And whose goal would it be to be the poster child for Parkinson's? In this iteration, I'm entirely limited. It's not my truth. Although I am a child. I just don't have a poster. I remain awestruck and curious, that's why. I'm fascinated by life. How could anyone ever be bored? I admire the truth tellers, the people who are brave enough to stand here and say what's right, not what's convenient or comfortable. Though truth is prone to subjectivity, of course. My narratives are often faulty. There's always a middle way. What a gift to be finite and to know that our certainties are not in fact certain. It forces us to find more purpose and meaning. We're all running out of time, which is why I don't have time for hide and seek or masks or playing politics. These things are not only dishonest, they're entirely predictable, devoid of anything that is useful or visionary. It's the same old thing. We don't have time to engage, but we can engage in a new way. I believe we can work together as Parkinson's patients to change the face of Parkinson's. Wouldn't this be remarkable? We're not remarkable because we're perfect and we say the right thing, we do the right thing, we know where we're going. We're often lost. What if there are no right ways or wrong ways or right sides? It's like Rumi says, beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. It's my intention. It's my striving, not my grasping. I'm really suffering right now. I'm suffering physically. I've had 2 brain operations. 2. Suffering has been quite a teacher. You start to make deals with God or whoever else is around when you're dry heaving for 48 hours and you can't keep your meds down. No pain meds, no Parky meds. Turns out the people who have suffered a lot are very interested in not repeating that suffering for themselves or others, whether it's by trauma or grief or loss. I'm sitting in it. What choice do I have? With Parkinson's, you don't really have a choice. You have to sit in it. You're trapped in a body that's becoming a cage. You can't even express your love to the one you love most or the ones you love most. And I don't mean physical love or that kind of intimacy I'm talking about. The kind of love that we think we don't deserve. That's when we need more of it. In fact, it's available to all the time. There's an infinite stream of it. No one's outside of this human circle. We think we're on the outside because we compare our insides to everybody else's highlight reel. That's one of the problems with social media, one of the many. And the COVID scares and the masks and all the ways we distance ourselves from one another. Let's get intimate and dissolve those boundaries a little bit more. Healthy boundaries with discernment, but dissolve the things that keep us away from each other, that make us feel like we're different. We're really not so different. It's not hard to be loving and kind. It's not hard to avoid some of these things. We're impossibly human. We're stepping all over each other's toes all the time. It's painfully profound, the dance we're doing. But isn't it fun to dance? Do you want to dance?